This is episode 2 of the F100 project, and this episode we're going to try to get the gas pedal mounted and then put the transfer case shifter through the floor. So we got to cut a hole through the floor, and we'll see what else we can get finished up in the interior. I might mount the gauges, get the steering shaft mounted up fully, clean it up basically, put a couple parts in. Still waiting on the floor shifter. It was a 3 on the tree, but now we're going to switch it to the floor. We're going to put the seat back in it so that we can, the dimension or where the gas pedal needs to be. Alright, I got the seat in, just got to find the bolts for it to mount it up. But this is what I was kind of thinking. That's the original pedal. That's about where it would be sitting, but with the firewall kicked in a little bit, it doesn't have any, so no motion. But if we put this pedal about like that, we should be able to use that hole for the throttle cable, and then we'll make it some kind of bracketry to go from here. But we should be able to mount that on there like that, and then cut this piece here off. But we'll see how our idea turns out. But we got to do a lot of making sure that's where that goes. The steering wheel, I've just now noticed, isn't in the right position. So we've got this instead of this hose clamp. I'll grind this nub down, and then we'll just basically clamp it on. We do want this rubber pad in there. That's about where it's gotta be, right there. I've made this piece here. This was already there. It was mounted there, and that's what my piece here was sitting. That's how that was. But I've cut this out, and I'm gonna weld this to that. That way I can bolt my deal there, and that'll bolt up like so. And then this piece will go around here and basically clamp it tight. I may or may not squeeze these in a little bit and kind of bend that so it's different, so it kind of holds it tighter. Or I might even weld this piece to this piece, to this tube. This piece is all welded up, and then I've got the U-piece fitting this a lot better. Once we get it mounted up here, and then we'll put this up and then mark where we want to clean it so we can clean it off, and then weld this piece to that. And then now we're going to mark for our holes and where to clean up for the welding. Alright, I got those U pieces, or the clamp pieces, welded onto the shaft now, so it's in the correct spot, and it's just barely, it's got enough space to be able to clamp the shaft to the plate that I've got mounted up there. So there should be like fingers width of gap, so that way it can squish up in there so it can actually tighten down. I did a bunch of fitting up, but I've got the holes drilled and these bolts put through. So right now there's nothing holding the steering wheel up, and it's pretty solid right now. I don't even have it tight, but I've still got that rubber piece in there just to help with like vibration. But I'm gonna take and I'm gonna weld these to this so that way they're studs, so that you can do it one-handed. You don't have to have like two hands holding, you know. But I do have to fix this piece here because it's not bent right, because when I did this wasn't straight. Got both the pieces painted up, waiting for it to dry, and then I'll assemble it, and then we can work on getting the gas pedal mounted. I've got an idea of where I want it, and it goes something like that. I've got the brake booster bolted up right now, so I have a good representation of where the brake is going to be. So we'll get that figured out. The steering shaft is all painted now. I've got to tighten those bolts down there, but right now we're going to work on getting the gas pedal mounted up, and I need to figure out if this hole right back there is going to work for the throttle cable. So I've got to put that on the engine so I can figure out where the throttle cable is going to go, if it's even going to work out. We'll see. This is what the other end of that cable looks like, the one that's going to go into the firewall. Hopefully something like this, or I don't know, we'll figure it out, but hopefully it works. It looks like it's going to, because this is so small, but we'll see. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be uber long, but that's fine. So this is what we got going on. I got it mounted in here. This is the hole I wanted to use, and it's super close. Well, you know what? We might be able to turn it down like that and have it just run below. I think that's what we're going to do. We'll see how it looks inside the, like what angle it's pointing at in the cab. So instead of mounting it like this, I have to go further back into the firewall, so I drilled this hole out so it'll fit around this piece here. I just feed that up through like that. And then this will sit in more, because this pedal, if you can see how far that is from that wall. So I just have to make a bracket on top of here to mount this flange piece to, so that we can run the factory cable. But we'll get that figured out and we'll film it along the way. We've just got it tacked up, but I think this is where it's gonna sit. We're gonna have to cut this piece off. We're gonna leave this back plate here, and we're gonna cut this piece off too. And we're gonna weld a plate to the front side that'll accept this piece, and then this will sit right on the side like that, and then we'll make a bracket so it can mount to so this piece can mount to this firewall here. But I think we're gonna get this cleaned up here, and make a plate for this back side because there's a big gap here, and then we'll just weld it on. I mean, I can't imagine that this thing will ever see the day that these bushings will have to be replaced or any of this will have to be replaced. So I'm just gonna weld it solid and then start working on making that, and then making this piece up here for that to bolt onto. So we'll get that squared away. And alright, so this is, I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of fitting and fabricating, but this is the final end product of what I had in mind. So you see here I welded that, so this cable comes through, clips right in there like factory, and then that's the throttle action. And then I'm gonna just bolt these, I'm gonna bolt that up there. We'll make sure that this piece is stopping at the very end where this cable bottoms out at. So we'll get that bolted up and then we'll see what we can do about setting it. Pretty well got the length set on it, so now that we got the throttle all figured out, we've got to put the 4x4 shifter, and I did some looking and it's going to come out right here, which is dead in line, so I don't know how that's going to work, but it might be far enough over that it might not matter. We'll get it drilled out and we'll figure out what's going on with it. Alright, well, that went way smoother than expected. I've got it in, and I mean, if you've got your leg way over here, it's gonna hit it, but I mean, where you normally would sit, you've got plenty of room, so. And that's 4 low, which your leg's gonna kind of hit it there if you're kind of moving it over, but you're not always gonna be driving in 4 low. And it kind of moves a little bit, so I don't know where exactly it's gonna fall, but it can't go left anymore, or counterclockwise. So, but yeah, that worked out pretty neat. So, nice. We've got the steering fully mounted up. We've got the pedal fully mounted up, the gas pedal. We've got the 4x4 shifter, the transfer case shifter, fully mounted up. So, that'll be it for this episode of this, I don't know however long series this will go on for, but we'll just see what we've got going for the next episode. But like I said, this will be it for this one, so tune in for the next.